To the Chaburah, Parsha's Tetzaveh. It's going to be a little bit of Tetzaveh and mostly Purim. Before I begin, I want to thank Chazaq for giving me the opportunity that I could share Divrei Torah with all of you. And I'd like to thank Torah Anytime for helping and sponsoring and putting the shiurim online. They put thousands upon thousands of shiurim every day, so a person can never say that he's not available to hear a shiur, because there's plenty of shiurim out there. Now I'm just going to repeat something that I said over at the Sheva Brachas before, but I didn't give all the answers to that. So in this week's Parsha, Parsha's Tetzaveh, there's a very interesting omission, something missing from this week's Parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned in this week's Parsha. And from the time Moshe Rabbeinu was born, Parsha Shemot, till the end of Dvarim, there's not one Parsha that Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned, except for this Parsha. And the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned in this week's Parsha, because when Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, when they sinned by the sin of the Chet HaEgel, Hashem wanted to destroy all the Jewish people. And Hashem told Moshe that I'm going to make you into your own nation. I'm going to make you into your own nation, and you're going to be the future, and then Klal Yisrael is going to be destroyed. So Moshe Rabbeinu, for his love for Klal Yisrael, told Hashem, no, I don't want that. Mecheni na mesifrecha, erase me from your Torah. If you are going to destroy the Jewish people, Klal Yisrael, erase me from your Torah. Now, it seems almost like Moshe Rabbeinu being disrespectful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It seems that way. Why? Hashem tells you, this is what I want to do. What right does Moshe Rabbeinu have to tell Hashem, no, I don't want it, erase me? So in reality, you find many different times that Moshe Rabbeinu, I don't want to say Chas v'Shalom, spoke back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but he answered him. He answered him back saying, I'd rather not in situations, for his love for Klal Yisrael. But you never find Hashem being upset at Moshe for talking like that. Why? Because deep down, Hashem wanted Moshe to answer for the Jewish people. Deep down, Hashem wanted Moshe Rabbeinu to stand up for the Jewish people. So, like a father, when sometimes he has to chastise his son, he has to punish him, but he always wants someone that's going to come and be a lawyer, be a Melitz Yosher for his children. And there's a beautiful mashal that I saw. I think the Beis Halevi brings this down by some other things, but he says if there's a king that has a son, a prince, but this prince is really misbehaving, and he's not proper, and he's not doing what he should be doing, right? And the king says, I need to send the prince out of the palace because he's just an embarrassment. He's just an embarrassment to the kingdom. Therefore, what does the king do? He sends him out and says, you're on your own. I can't afford to take opportunities of my kingdom and destroy it. Besides, the people, I have to worry about the people too. So everyone's scared to touch this, to go near this prince, because if the king's angry at him, they don't want to be the one that if the king's angry, I'm going to go and take care of him. But there's one individual that's decided, he works for the king, he knows the king well, he's in the palace sometimes. He says, I'm still going to take care. Why? Because he's the son of the king. At the end of the day, he's the son of the king. So I'm not going to make a big deal about it. And he takes care of this prince. He takes care of him for a few years. Finally, he gets him through school, he changes him, he makes him into a better person. And then the king finds out about it, and he ushers, I want to know who took care of my son. He makes an announcement. Who took care of my son? And everybody's saying, wasn't me. And they all say, this individual took care of your son. I want him in the palace with the prince. Anyway, the prince comes with this man, with this advisor that took care. And the king looks at him and goes, were you the one that took care of my son? He goes, yes, I was, Your Honor. Yes, you are the king. And the king says to him, I want to thank you. Because deep down, I felt I needed to do what I needed to do. But in reality, I was hoping somebody would take care of my son. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, erase me from your Torah. If you're going, erase me, period. Not just from your, erase me. I don't want to exist if you're not going to save Klal Yisrael. So what happens? Hashem doesn't destroy Klal Yisrael, yet Moshe Rabbeinu's name had to be omitted from a Parsha. Why? Because he said, erase me from your Torah. And Chazal teach us, even on a condition, if a tzaddik says something even on condition, even if the condition is not met or is not followed through, but because a tzaddik says something out of his mouth, tzaddik goes there, v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu mekayim. A tzaddik says something, Hashem has to listen, because he said the words, Mecheni no mesifracha, I am going to take me out. Therefore, just the fact that he said those words is enough of a reason. Hashem says, even though I didn't do it, but the power of the tzaddik is so powerful that I'm going to do it anyway, a little bit. One parsha. So he took him out of this week's parsha. But the big question is, we know Moshe Rabbeinu's yortzeit, Yoshevo, was yesterday. It almost always falls out in Parshas Tetzaveh. It almost, like I said, almost always falls out in this week's parsha, Parsha Tetzaveh. If there's one parsha that Hashem should not have taken Moshe's name out, it's this week's parsha. If there's one parsha that maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu should not have taken him out of, is this week's parsha. Because Kavod, Moshe Rabbeinu, his yortzeit, his Yoshua, his birthday, this is not the parsha you take somebody out. You know, I know by Sfardim especially, when it comes to a Yoshua, Hilula, it's big stuff. It's big stuff. So the one parsha he shouldn't have been taken out is this one. Why did he take him out of this one? So I saw 3 different pshatim. I'm just going to mention 2. Not which one is more important. I just think it's more relevant for what I'm discussing tonight. So we do know that Moshe Rabbeinu, his greatness about Moshe Rabbeinu was that he was very humble. And Moshe Rabbeinu was selfless for Klal Yisrael. He was selfless. It was never about Moshe Rabbeinu. It was always about Klal Yisrael. Therefore, B'cheshbon, Hashem said, you know what I'm going to do? I'll take him out of the parsha that his yortzeit, Yoshua, is, right? And therefore, people are going to ask, this is not the parsha to take him out. No, it is. You know why? Because it was never about Moshe Rabbeinu. The greatest honor for Moshe Rabbeinu was that it wasn't about him. I'm out of the picture. I stay in the background. So in essence, but you're thinking that it would be a dishonor to take him out. It became a greater honor for Moshe Rabbeinu. I have to take him out. But I'll make it kavod that people will understand that Moshe Rabbeinu was never about him. It was always about the Jewish people. It was always about Klal Yisrael. Therefore, Hashem said, this will be a greater honor for Moshe by me taking him out of the parsha of this week. So that's one answer. The Vilna Gaon says an unbelievable thing. He says like this, nobody ever starts a book. He doesn't say this, but he says no one ever starts a book with a run-on sentence. There's no such thing as a and something. No chapter or book begins with and, okay? Unless you want to prove something or show something. But proper English, proper writing, you don't start off with a run-on sentence. Yet this week's parsha starts kaviyachol with the run-on sentence, kaviyachol, v'ata tetzaveh, and you should command, right? Normally it should say v'daber Hashem al Moshe, v'yikra Hashem al Moshe, v'yomer Hashem al Moshe. Here it says v'ata, and you should command Aaron. What is the point of telling you and you? So the Vilna Gaon says, Hashem said, I'm taking Moshe out, but I'll even make it also a greater kavod for Moshe. How will I make it a greater kavod? When you call somebody, because you call somebody that's not near you. If you call somebody's name, usually you call him because he's somewhere else or further away, and you have to get his attention, so you call him. Moshe, Yaakov, whatever his name is, right? But if you're sitting right next to someone, if you're with somebody, you don't say his name. You tell him, and can you do me a favor? Can you pick this up? So, in essence, Hashem was saying, I'm going to take Moshe Rabbeinu out of the parsha, but I'm going to make it a greater kavod that I never left Moshe. V'ata tetzaveh, that I'm always with Moshe. Therefore, I don't have to mention his name, because it's a greater honor to not even mention his name by showing that he's next to him. V'ata, and you. Like we're never separated. We're still talking. We're always involved. So that's what the Gaon says. I thought that was very, very beautiful. And those are 2 of the 3 pshat. And the third pshat, you know what, I'll just mention it. The third pshat is that since it was all about Aaron HaKohen, it was all about the Kuhuna, so the perfect parsha to take Moshe out is the parsha that deals with Aaron. Therefore, it won't be so bad that I take him out from a parsha that deals with Aaron. That's the third answer. Okay. Now, we do know, Purim's coming up, obviously this week, we do know that actually Moshe Rabbeinu's birthday and his yortzeit, his anniversary of his death, it played a big role in the story of Purim, right? Haman went and he made a lottery, and he was very excited that it fell out on the Yoshua, on the anniversary of the death of Moshe Rabbeinu. He saw this as a sign He saw this as a sign that's bad for the Klal Yisrael, of the Jewish people. What he didn't know is that if you're born on the same day you die, if a person is born on the same day, it's a siman bracha. It's a blessing to the people. When somebody dies on the day of his birthday, it's a bracha. So it's not just a bad day for Klal Yisrael, it's a perfect situation for Klal Yisrael. So the question is, how come Haman didn't know that? He knew that the day of death is a problem. He knew the day of death is a problem. Why didn't he know that the other aspect of it, that his birth, if it falls out on the birthday, that it's a good thing? So I saw somebody actually told me this today. Actually, I thought it was very nice. He actually told me at a gas station. I was pumping gas, and a guy comes over to me, from a guy in my neighborhood in Rockaway, and he tells me, Rabbi, I know you love Divrei Torah. I have something to share with you. And then he shared it with me. I said, it's funny because this is actually what I'm speaking about today. Something. So he says to me like this. He says that the Goyim, the non-Jews, they celebrate the results of something. They don't celebrate the work. They celebrate the result. Did you win the championship? Are you number one? Did you win the World Series? Did you win the cup? Did you win this? Did you get the promotion? It's all about the result. We as Klal Yisrael understand that greater than the result is the work that's put in. It's the process of what's put into the finished result. Therefore, Haman didn't even think his birthday was important at the end of the day. Moshe Rabbeinu's death, he ended life. Amazing, that's it. Bad day for the Jewish people. But tzaddikim b'misasam kurum chayim, they're alive. The life they lived is the most important thing, the process. Therefore, he did, and we say this when there's when somebody finishes a masechta, anu amelim v'heim amelim. We work and they work, right? Who's they? The non-Jews. We work and they work. We work, but we get rewarded for the work. Whether you finish it or not, if you worked and you struggled and you fought and you battled and you put your neshama into it, that is more reward than the result. The galut is not about winning, it's about battling. Yaakov Avinu was given bracha because not that he overcame the malach. He didn't overcome the malach. People learn that he overcame the malach, he won. No, he didn't win. He didn't win. He actually was a stalemate. He actually did not win against the malach when he was fighting the angel of the Sar Shel Esav that night when he was battling. But what does it say? The malach says that you didn't give up. Vatuchal, you were able. That you kept that struggle and you didn't give up. The galut is not about winning. It's about battling, getting up, falling, getting up, but keep rising. Keep rising. Don't give in. And that's the next world we get the results. The next world Hashem looks at your sheet and he goes, let's see what you've done. So anu amelim, v'heim amelim, we work and they work. Anu amelim kavos, how we get rewarded for the work we put in and not for the result as much. They, by the non-Jews, if you don't finish a project, maybe 1 or 2 times you can get away with it. If you're given a project to do and you don't finish it and you don't come with the paperwork, you're fired. Because it's about results. So Haman looked at the result of Moshe Rabbeinu's death, but he didn't understand the blessing of the process of when a person's born and the work he puts in. So that's regarding Moshe Rabbeinu. So I just felt something important to know about Moshe Rabbeinu's name not being mentioned and what a kavod it is. So now we know Purim's coming up, like I said, and there's a famous question on Purim regarding the Megillah. Now we know that Purim is about many people have speeches, the hidden, revealed, the hiddenness, the coming out in the open stuff. Everything is about something that's hidden and being revealed. The costumes, because what's inside is not what's outside. There's a lot going on here. But the question is, why is the Megillah called Megillat Esther and not Megillat Mordechai? Why not Megillat Mordechai? The Zohar asked this question actually. He asked, why is it called Megillat Esther, not called Megillat Mordechai or some other name? Now, obviously, if you look at the word Megillat Esther, the word Megillah means reveal, right? Esther comes from hidden. So it's in the words, you're revealing the hidden. Megillah, open, Megillah, you're revealing. Esther, the hidden. So therefore, that's Parsha Pshat of why it's called Megillat Esther. But the Zohar wanted to say something very powerful in the meaning of that. Why Esther? Because Esther did something that very few people in the history of Klal Yisrael did. Moshe Rabbeinu did it. When he said, Mecheni na mesifrecha, erase me from your Torah, self-sacrifice for the Klal Yisrael. And Esther also, what she did, she said that she's willing to die and that she's willing to put her life on the line to save Klal Yisrael. She's willing to put her life on the line, knowing, Kasha avadati avodati, she said, I can lose this world and the next world, she said. I'm not going to go into that now, but she's willing to lose this world, which she could be killed by going to the king, and also the next world in case she's not matzliach, and therefore she's willing to do it for Klal Yisrael, for the Jewish people. So for that reward, the Zohar says, we name it Megillat Esther. That's what he says, that because when somebody's willing to sacrifice their life, the greatest kavod is that we use their name in something that's eternal, which is the Megillah, Torah, and continuation of that. Now, Mordechai is called Yehudi. Mordechai is called, Yehudi. Mordechai the Jew. And we're all called Jews in a way, right? We're all called Jews. We're all Yehudim. Yet Mordechai's title is Yehudi. Now we do know that in the Tanakh, many, many people had titles. First names, Moshe, Yaakov, Yosef, David, Aaron. But many of them had titles after, almost like a last name, that symbolized their essence, who they were. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Avinu. Avram Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu. Yosef, Tzaddik. Aaron, Kohen. Moshe, Rabbeinu. Right? David HaMelech. There were other kings too. David HaMelech is David HaMelech. Right? You have Shmuel Hanavi. Right? These people have titles because it's their essence of who they were. It wasn't just their name, which was very powerful, which was given by birth, but it's who they became, which describes who they are. Yet, Mordechai is given a title, Mordechai HaYehudi, Mordechai the Jew. Well, we know he's Jewish, right? So we don't need that title. And we're all called Yehudim. What is the significance of telling us Mordechai HaYehudi? That's one question. Question number two, Haman what really bothered Haman the most? What bothered Haman the most was that Mordechai would not bow and not lo yichra v'lo yishtachave. He didn't. The two different lashonos of kind of bowings, kneeling, bowing. He didn't do that. So it always bothered me. I never understood this. I don't understand. Haman, you have the whole world pretty much wherever you walk bowing down to you. You have one Jew who was 80, 90, 100 years old in a corner somewhere minding his own business, and he doesn't bow to you, right? So who cares? So one guy doesn't bow to you, don't pass the block. You know what? Take a different route. Just don't pass it. You have everybody else bowing to you. The whole world was under Haman's influence, greater than Achashverosh. Because Achashverosh stayed in his palace, and Haman was free to roam. So wherever he went, everyone had to bow down. But yet, the one person, Mordechai the Jew, that bothered Mordechai Yehudi. He can't live with that. He comes home after, later on in the Megillah, and he tells his wife that whenever he sees Mordechai, he loses his mind to the point, and he uses the Lashon, v'cholzeh, everything I have, billionaire, richer, the Gemara says he was richer than Achashverosh, okay? Kavod to the max. I mean, you can have more kavod than he got, right? Obviously you could. And what does he say? V'cholzeh, all of it, einenu shavali, is not worth nothing. That's a very powerful statement to say. All of it's worth nothing. Imagine you're offered billions of dollars. You got every human being except for one guy somewhere, who knows where, that you don't have to see him ever. He doesn't bow to you, so what? You'll ignore the guy. If it's not complete power, it can affect you. But anyway, the Lashon by Mordechai, the Megillah says, Lo yichre v'lo yishtachave. He doesn't bow and he doesn't kneel. He doesn't bow. But it's not Lashon of the past. It doesn't say Lo kara v'lo yishtachave. He didn't bow and he didn't kneel. He doesn't bow. In the present. In the present, it says it. In other words, what's the Lashon that it mentions it in the present and not in the past? Again, it should have said Lo kara, he didn't bow, because it's talking about the Megillah, it's talking about what happened. For Lo hishtachave, and he didn't bow. It doesn't say that, it says it in the present and the future. Lo kara, if it's taking place now, for Lo hishtachave, and he doesn't bow down. What is the difference of the Lashon? So, again, today I was driving to a public school I went into a public school today, so special, I'm telling you, and I had 32 kids in QSI in this public school, and I walked in, and the mamish was sitting, we gave pizza, Chazaq, we gave fries and soda, whatever we gave them, but for 25 minutes they were sitting there glued to listening to Torah, and it's unbelievable. I walked out feeling really tremendous, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives me an opportunity to go into a public school, into the lion's den, into the lion's den and teach Torah. Not pashut, very special, very special. I'm zocha. Now, so on the way, somebody calls me up, a friend of mine. I'm waiting there to go in, and he tells me the answer to this question. He tells me that the Stuchina Rebbe asked this question, and this is what he answers. Also, even though, let me go back a little bit. When Mordechai did not lo karev lo shtachaveh, right after that, it says that's when Haman was really getting upset. After that, lo karev lo shtachaveh, in the future tense, that's what was bothering him. So what was it? Like I said, what does he care if Mordechai doesn't bow? So the Stuchina Rebbe says, I don't know where he brings it down from, but he said that when Haman would pass Mordechai, when he did, Mordechai, it wasn't just that he didn't bow. You know what Mordechai used to tell Haman? He says, I know the Jewish people are getting punished. Why are they getting punished? So the Gemara in Megillah says, that Rav Shimon Bar Yochai asked his students, why did the Jewish people deserve to die? So one of the students answered, or a few of the students answered, because they ate from the party of Achashverosh. They enjoyed themselves at the party of Achashverosh. That they went and they saw the kalim of the Bet HaMikdash, and they were able to sit there without even having to say something. Now they were scared. We know they were scared, but they went and they did, and they actually, I think the Lashon is Nehenna, they enjoyed themselves at the party of Achashverosh. So Reb Shimon Bar Yochai said, no, then only the people of Shushan should be punished. Why? Because they were the only ones who went to the party over there where Achashverosh put out the kalim. That party was only for Shushan. So why did the whole world deserve to die? So they didn't have an answer. So Reb Shimon Bar Yochai told them, because they bowed down, in Nebuchadnezzar's time, they bowed down to a tzelem. So the Tosfos says that it wasn't a real idol, it was just an image, otherwise they would have had to have killed themselves for it. You can't bow down, you can't do avodah zarah. So it wasn't real avodah zarah, Tosfos says. It was a kind of image that they should not have bowed down to. So, but they asked, the students asked Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, but they only did it because they had no choice. Again, it wasn't real avodah zarah, otherwise they would have had to have given up their life. But they had no choice. They only did it out in the front so that they could look like they're doing it. They were scared of their life. So they bowed down to an image. So Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, he laughed almost and he says, Hashem didn't end up killing them. Hashem only did it on the outside too. He only did it on the outside. So therefore, in reality, the punishment fits the crime. They did it only in the outside, so Hashem also only did it on the outside. So what did Mordechai do? Mordechai, lo kara v'lo ishtachaveh. You know what he told Haman? He told Haman that I want you to know that every time they bow to you, even though they think they're bowing to you they actually think they're bowing to you. But deep down, the Pintele Yid in every Jew, that's not what his feelings are. So you should know that all the bowing down they do, it's not even real. It's just on the outside. They're scared of you. They're not thinking. But the depth of a Yid, the depth of a Jew, it's not to bow. So that's what made him crazy. And that's why he was called Yehudi, because he actually was the lawyer and spokesperson that changed the whole narrative of the story of Purim. By saying that Ani Yehudi, I'm a Jew, I'm Mordechai HaYehudi. And Jews, even when they do things wrong, and even when they don't follow what they should be following, but the Pintele Yid of a Jew, the essence of a Jew, is depth, is not to do this. And we see in Gemara, the Gemara says that we sometimes force somebody, they whip somebody in certain circumstances. Kofin also, Acha Omarotzani. We force him, whether it's to give a get, or he gets makot, whatever it is. We force him because until he says, I want. But he's not doing it purposely, he's being forced. No, because deep down he wants. Deep down, Kofin also, we whip him until he comes to his senses, because every Jew wants. Now I'm going to tell you something, an unbelievable Gemara that I saw, and the diuk that I saw in it, unbelievable diuk I saw maybe 35 years ago in a certain sefer. I was by somebody's house. I saw the sefer, I took it off the shelf, and I've never seen that sefer since. So I don't know where it was, where it is, but I remember seeing this one Dvar Torah in the sefer. The Gemara in Kedushin says that in Misgaber Yetzer Hara on somebody, if somebody's Yetzer Hara overtakes him, and it means about women, God forbid, doesn't want to mention it, but it's Gaber Yetzer Hara, if somebody's Yetzer Hara overtakes him, and he feels he's going to do a certain Aveirah, it says, Yilbash Charim, he should put on black clothing, the Gemara says, V'yelech le'ir acheres, and go to another city, and then it says, V'yase kamo shalibo chafetz, he should do what his heart desires. Again, A guy is miskaber yetzara, he should put on black clothing, yilbash chorim, go to an ir acheres that nobody knows him, v'yaseh masher libo chafetz, and do whatever you want to do. That's a very telling Gemara. Because first of all, why would the Gemara give you ideas what to do? The idea, put on black clothing, go where no one knows you, and then do what you want. Why would the Gemara say that? So I saw the Sefer says, unbelievable how he's medayek, and what's this Gemara teaching us? Yilbash chorim is, in the olden days, today we wear white. We wear white. Techrichin, when a person passes away, they put him on white clothing. In reality, it was black. In the times of the Gemara, it was black clothing. But the Goyim took it over. They also did it. Not always do we switch because of Goyim, but in this particular situation, because Goyim made a whole avodah zarah of the black, we switch it to white. But in reality, Yilbash chorim was a sign of mourning, a sign of death. Therefore, what do we tell this person? If you have a yetzer hara, put on black clothing, hoping that that's going to remind you of Yom HaMisah, the day of death. Hopefully that's going to give you a little bit of an edge to overcome this yetzer hara. Go to an ir acheres, go to a faraway place where no one knows you. Not to do the Aveira, Chat v'Shalom. But what happens is, I've been away, I haven't gone and I'm not a businessman, but I've been on places where I had to go visit somebody, and there aren't many Jews there. You feel very alone, very alone. You miss your family finally. Maybe people should just go so they can miss their family. But you miss your family, you feel out of place. When there aren't Jews in a certain parts of the world that you go, when people go, I know there's some people that go on business trips, they tell me, you feel very alone, and you start to think, and you start to miss your family. So, Yilbash chorim will remind you of Yom HaMisah. Yelech le'ir acheres, it's going to also hopefully change you, where you're going to start thinking, I miss my family, I have to be careful. So why does the Gemara say, V'yaseh kamo masher libo chafetz, you shall do what your heart desires? Why mention it? Don't say anything. Just say Yilbash chorim, Yelech le'ir acheres, and finish. You don't have to say V'yaseh masher libo chafetz and do what you want. So in this Sefer he says, you know what's going to happen if you do this? These two things, Ya'aseh, you'll do, Kamo masher libo chafetz. You're going to do what your heart really desires. Because the heart of a Jew, the heart of a Yid is to do Ratzon Hashem. The heart of a Yid is the Pintel Yid deep down is always to do the right thing. Therefore, if you're going to do these two things that are going to soften the blow, Ya'aseh masher libo chafetz, he's going to do what his heart truly desires, which is not to do the Aveira. So every Jew, you have to know deepest in the recess, but sometimes you have to awaken that. You have to awaken that little Pintel Yid. It's like a coal that's sometimes covered. Sometimes I know this when I used to do barbecues. You think it's out, the barbecue. You think it's out and you're going to sleep, and then you're thinking, all right, and then all of a sudden you shake it a little bit and it's on. You pour water in it. You come back an hour later and you see there's still coals burning. Because the coals burn more than you think. But sometimes it's covered with soot. Sometimes it's covered with dirt, and you don't see that ember still glowing. So a person has to understand that every Yid has that in him. Every Yid has the opportunity to grow. And Purim, I want to just end with this little thing about Purim. We know that there's another Yom Tov that has the word Purim in it. What? Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippurim is a day like Purim. Yom Kippurim, a day like Purim. Yom Kippurim, a day like Purim. What does that mean? That Yom Kippur should be like Purim? That's wow, that's pretty wild. Yom Kippur, the day of all seriousness. So I just want to mention Yom Kippurim. Why is Yom Kippur? Why should Yom Kippur be like Purim? How do you say that Yom Kippur should be like Purim? Because on Yom Kippur, everyone could behave for one day. Everyone could behave if you're standing before the king. Your verdict is about to be written, you're about to be given, you're going to behave. Even criminals, they get suits, they get new suits, and they stand there with the first time they've ever worn a suit in their life probably, and they stand there like this, Your Honor, yes, you behave. But on Purim, we do things that a person might think would take him away from his closeness to Hashem. You drink a little bit, you have parties, you go to this event, you do different things. So a person might think that what? A person might think that, like, I've had public school kids tell me this. You know what Purim is? This is what they tell me. It's Jewish Halloween. That's what they tell me. You ask most public school kids, Jewish public school kids, I'm not going to mention which people that I deal with, but you ask most of them, I'm sure you've said it. You said it today. Don't be so proud of it. You're already 20-something. That's why you came to the shiur, so you should know the difference. Jewish Halloween. It's Jewish Halloween. Why? Because that's the secret of Purim, where it's hidden. where people could think it's one thing, but the ruchniot, the spirituality, the greatness of the day can be manifested in a person if he digs deep down, like the story of Purim. You dig deep down. I want to tell you, there's a sefer Kimu v'Kiblu that my Rebbe, Rav Shlomo Brevda Zatzal, my mashgiach, my Rebbe, wrote from the Vilna Gaon, how he translates almost every single word of the Megillah with the deeper meaning from the Gaon. Deep meanings that are in every word of the Megillah. Baruch HaKodesh, it was written. Hashem's name is not mentioned one time because everything's hidden. You would think it's a story. You make a play out of it in school. People make plays. They make Broadway shows. Queen Esther, the Queen Esther. But we don't understand the greatness and the spirituality. Yom Kippur, a person knows he's being judged. Purim, a person does every possible thing you would think that might take him away from the understanding of the seriousness of the day. And when you serve Hashem on a day where it's more difficult, that's where Hashem rewards you. And that's where He reveals the hidden to every individual. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom and a wonderful Purim. And you should tap into the spirituality of the day by preparing. By learning over Shabbat, Gemara, Megillah, by learning about Megillat Esther. Come prepared, because when you're prepared, there's appreciation. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.